Hi, happy Thursday. Allegra here with your weekly video cast that also goes up as the Harness the Power of Planning podcast wherever you listen. Now, I do want to give a little note. Today's podcast is going to be very visual. So if you can watch it, you can always see it at my website. If you go to bywdreams.com, and once the page has loaded, if you just type in the number of the podcast, I think this one is 151 or 152. If you just type in the number at the end, but you have to first let the website load and then type it in. And then you can see this podcast. You can also, I believe, watch the video on Spotify, Instagram, YouTube. Oh, there's lots of places you can see it. So be sure to watch the video because this one is definitely very visual. I hope you're doing well. I've been away for a couple weeks. If you've been listening to my recordings, thank you. I had a couple of rebroadcasts of self-care related items because, as you know, if you see me pointing here, we are in a season of self-care. And I'm pointing up here because I have uploaded all of the videos from a season of self-care onto one page so you can find them all in one place. I've been talking about everything from skincare, because if you've listened to me, then you know that when you touch your face like this, you're releasing the same awesome chemicals that you release when you get a hug from someone else. So hug yourself via your face. Your face and you will be happy. So, I had a hard time embracing skincare because I am more concerned with health than I am with looks. However, my skin was super dry. It was I had a lot of dark spots because I grew up in Southern California, and so I felt like my skin did not look healthy. And little did I know how good my skincare routine would make me feel on the inside. So now I am a skincare devotee. I didn't become one until my 40s. I am 52 now. So look, you can, old dogs, you can learn new tricks. It is possible. I know I am doing it. And so I am checking my videos and it doesn't look like I am live on Instagram. I'm not sure why. So anyway, this will go up afterwards, hopefully everywhere. So thank you for joining me. I was talking about skincare. I've talked about supplements and things I eat and drink. And today I'm starting to talk about movement, how I move to ensure that my body does what I want it to do at 52. I'm still very active. I like to do a lot of sports. I just want to not take pain meds. I don't take pain meds on any sort of regular basis. I actually can't tell you the last time I took a pain medication right now. So I want to age in a way that is pain-free. Don't we all? And movement is one of the ways that you do that because an expression I heard the other day is that motion is lotion. There you go. Motion is lotion. The idea being that you need to move in order to keep your joints and muscles and whatever, keep everything lubricated. And today I'm going to talk about one of the ways that motion is lotion, which I'm going to talk about fascia, which I'm not talking about the wood trim on your house. Okay. This is something in your body, which I will get to in a second. But thank you for joining me. If you're joining me for the first time, then you know that I've written these 4 books. This is my little bouquet of books. And these are all designed to help you prioritize yourself and your goals. They are all designed to be read in an hour or less. And I talk a lot about self-care in this one called Rock Your Morning. So you can find all my books on my website. You see it down there, bywdreams.com. Get them as ebooks, get them as physical books. They're short reads. And usually I like to start my podcast by talking about some of my listeners, because if you've been following me recently, then you know that the top countries that make up my listenerships have been changing recently. And I've been so fascinated. I've been wanting to learn all about you. But because this is going to be a slightly longer podcast, I'm going to have to skip that until next. I'll do it next week because I'm not quite sure how long this is going to take because I have a lot of things to discuss with fascia. But before I do that, I'm going to pull my little card of chaos, as I like to call it. It's super fun. And I don't know why I'm not live on Instagram. So Sorry, Instagram people. Hopefully it comes up for you at some point. Okay. Oh, nothing is so often irretrievably missed as a daily opportunity. Nothing is so often irretrievably missed as a daily opportunity. I feel like that one can be read on so many levels, and I'm not really sure which level to read it on. But the author's name is Marie von Ebner Eschenbach. I don't read German. Eschenbach. Thank you, Marie von Ebner Eschenbach. Nothing is so often irretrievably missed as a daily opportunity. So, the way I'm going to interpret this is that all of the self-care principles I talk about, they are all daily opportunities. And it doesn't matter if you do them every day, but when you can get that long-term consistency in, that's when you see results. So, all the fascia practices, for instance, that I'm going to talk about today, I don't do all of them every day. I do some of them most days. And I really think that that's the secret to achieving your dreams is doing something most days. So I've written books. I don't write every day, but I write most days. I told you about my skincare. I don't do my entire routine every day, but I do it most days. And most days I define as 4 or more days because that's when you really see a lot of momentum, right? When you only do something once a week, like imagine if you tried to not drink water during the week and then just once a week load it up on all your water. Yeah, that wouldn't work out well. In fact, that would probably be bad for you. You can die from too much water. It's kind of crazy. They're too little, too much, you got to be just right. And so I find that when I really want to work on something, working on it 4 days a week minimum helps to ensure that I'm doing way more than nothing, but it's not perfect. So I'm not feeling stressed out by this need to do everything. So Marie von Ebner Eschenbach, I'm going to say that nothing is so often irretrievably missed as a daily opportunity. What that says to me is, hey, every day you have an opportunity to do self-care. And if you can do some self-care more days than not, you will benefit mentally, physically, spiritually, in all the ways because you've chosen to prioritize yourself. And I think the world would be a happier place if everyone did more self-care. So there you go. Okay. Fascia. What is fascia? By the way, I do have one thing, and I will include it in the show notes. I got really into fascia maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And I actually am not quite sure how I heard about it now that I think about it. But I was starting to research it so much that I actually put together a list of about 10 videos. Some of them are super short. There is a longer one from like one of the UC colleges that's maybe about an hour long because it's actually a course lecture. And it's interesting because that one's about 9 or 10 years old. So here's how I feel about fascia. I think that fascia is not widely known or understood yet. And I think in another 10 or 15 years, fascia is going to be like yoga, right? Where everyone knows what yoga is now. Maybe not everyone's doing it, but maybe you've tried it. Pilates, maybe that's in a similar boat as yoga, or maybe that's not quite as widespread as yoga. I feel like fascia work only really people who are interested in it like me and maybe some medical professionals know about it. But I've never seen like the way you see Pilates and yoga studios and classes. I've never seen a fascia studio, even though there could be one. I've never seen fascia classes offered at health places, although it could easily be fit in any place that does yoga or Pilates, in my opinion, or any kind of stretching sort of modality. Um, so it's not well understood. And I wish I had discovered fascia earlier, because if you've heard my story, or if you've heard all my stories, then you might remember that when I was about 32, 33, I was bedridden with a herniated L5S1 vertebra. Um, and the weird thing was that it took a really long time for me to be diagnosed, because they kept saying that I could do things I shouldn't be able to do with a herniated disc. Like, I was flexible in ways that people with herniated discs aren't usually flexible. And that's why they didn't test me. And then finally I said, "Okay, nothing is helping this problem. You need to test me." And I did a ton of physical therapy. I did traction, ultrasound, massage, heat, cold, everything. And nothing was really working until the day when I said, "You know what? Instead of an hour of physical therapy a day, I'm just going to make this my day," because I wasn't able to work at the time. And so I started doing physical therapy like it was my job, like 5, 6 hours a day. And it would start with a 3-hour long walk. Now, I didn't just say, "Hey, I'm gonna go on a 3-hour long walk." I did a walk in my neighborhood that I still do to this day, that takes me 26 minutes. 26 minutes. My back was so whacked, I was walking so slowly that it took me 3 hours, the exact same distance. However, when I would start the walk, my body was basically, like, bent over. I was, like, in this hunched position. However, by the end of the walk, I could almost stand up straight. Of course, I'd go to bed, and the next day I'd be hunched again, because, I was having this acute issue with my back, and I was being told it was these herniated discs. However, now that I know what I know that what I was suffering from was super, super tight fascia. And that's the thing with fascia, is that it's much stronger than the tension it creates is much stronger than, like, let's say, a muscle cramp or whatever. So let's just start with, what is fascia? And fascia is a type of uh, material in your body that connects things. One way I've heard it described is that if you didn't have fascia, is what gives our body shape. If you didn't have fascia, you would be a protein smoothie, is what one person described it as. So if you think about it, if you think about, let's think about pantyhose, right? Imagine pantyhose, and you're stuffing pantyhose with material to fill it out. Oh, well, now you have legs. Um, that's kind of how fascia exists in the body, where it's the matrix that gives shape to things. Without the shape of the fascia, our muscles would just be protein, just the meat part. And it's the fascia that's holding it together and giving it shape along our bodies. Now, apparently, fascia can be really, really small. Like, if you've ever taken a raw chicken breast and cut it in half, if you look at it on the side, it has all these layers, kind of like a croissant, right? A croissant has pastry, and in between it, there used to be butter. But when it was baked, the butter melted, and now all you see is layers. That's the same thing with chicken. You know, when you cut into chicken and it looks like layers? Well, if you cut into it raw, you'll see those layers, and there's like this thin, almost cloudy looking flesh. And that is fascia. And when the breast is cooked, the fascia dissolves, melts, kind of like gelatin. It melts away, and you don't see it anymore. But fascia can be really thin. Apparently, every single hair follicle has some fascia wrapped around it. Also, it can be really thick. Perhaps you are familiar with people who say they have plantar fasciitis. There's a piece of fascia that runs under your foot that is thick, like a tendon thick. Okay. So fascia is this material in this fleshy material that makes up your body, and it doesn't have nerves in it. So that's why one of the interesting things about fascia is that your fascia might be tight and tense in one area of your body, but the pain you're feeling is not in that area because fascia doesn't have nerves. The pain you're feeling is in some other area where the fascia is now pulling on, but that's the area that has nerves. So what I found with my injury was that my pain was all in my back, right? Around these vertebra. And for a long time, it was like, oh, you have sciatica or whatever. What it turned out was that the injury was not in my back. The injury was in my butt muscles, some really, really tight fascia, a combination of always too much sitting, sitting with my legs crossed and wearing high heels was creating these really tight butt muscles and butt fascia. And the fascia was pulling on my back and kinking me. And because there were a lot of nerves in the back area, again, not a lot of nerves, right? In your butt area, not a ton, way more in your back. It was pulling me, and that's why I was feeling it in my back. Okay, so fascia is like everywhere. And I heard one expert say that fascia can hold 20 times more tension than muscles, so much tighter. Also, because it can get so much tighter, it also takes longer to release it. So whereas when you're getting a massage on your muscles and this kind of action is feeling good, with fascia, in order to get fascia to release, you need to hold it, I've heard, for as long as 3 minutes. Okay? Now, who can hold an area for 3 minutes, right? If you're just listening to the podcast, I am pinching down on my upper neck area, shoulder, neck area where I often have tension, right? Imagine holding that area down for 3 minutes. If you can do it, you might start to feel it loosen, like the knot truly come undone. Okay, but that can be challenging to hold something for 3 minutes. This is why you need tools that can do things differently than like traditional massage sort of things. So that's what fascia is. Um, I I'm convinced that so like when I'm talking to people and they're like, "Oh, I'm having pain here, I'm having pain there." I always ask them, "Okay, I'm not a medical professional, nor do I play one on the internet." But I ask them, "Hey, have you done any fascia work?" Because I have seen so many benefits with fascia work that I just have to spread the word. That's part of me being a Myers-Briggs ENFJ. ENFJ personality types, if they like something, they need to tell you about it, and that's how I feel about fascia. So, I'm excited to tell you about fascia, and I'm excited for you to try it for yourself. So, I'm doing this topic in 2 episodes. This is episode 1. I'm gonna show you a few of the implements that I use. In episode 2, I'm probably gonna be in a different room because I wanna demonstrate some things that I need to be lying down for. So, hopefully, I can move this setup in some way onto the ground. I don't know how that's gonna work. We'll have to see, but I'm hoping I can demo for you. If not, I might just have to, like, upload videos of myself and attach those to the show notes. Okay, so let's start with the fact that, as I said, I've said this before, I do fascia literally on every part of my body from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet. I don't do them all every day, right? So I don't start at my head and go to my feet every single day. But all the things I'm going to describe, I do them in some sort of way throughout the week because I have just found that I feel better in all ways when I keep this routine. So let's start with the top of my head. As I mentioned, fascia hair follicles. I have this hard wooden comb and I rake it through my head all the way down my hair every morning and every night. And really it just like feels so good. It you know, I mentioned how much tension fascia can hold. I have heard really good things about people having fewer migraines or not migraines, having fewer headaches because they do fascia work on their face and head. I don't have headaches. Maybe that's why. I also do go in here and do deep massage as hard as I can. I have gotten some head massages before that border on torture, like pain, specifically at Korean spas. But I go in and I just do as much as I can, again, to loosen up all of that fascia up there, both for headaches and stuff, but also, like, what if the fascia is choking off your hair follicles? That could be, I've heard that theory. So, starting with my head, just intense massage and this hard comb. I actually don't use brushes. I only use this hard comb. It's made out of wood. And, the other thing about brushing your hair like this, combing your hair like this, is it helps to distribute the oils on your scalp all the way down your hair. Um, so that's why I like this guy. And honestly, I have no idea where you can find this because I bought this at a physical store when I was on vacation somewhere. The other thing I like about this is that it has this interesting shape, and I don't know if it was meant for this because it didn't have any instructions when I bought it, but this is almost a gua sha shape. And so if you want to do gua sha, which is also gua sha is typically for lymphatic drainage, but you are giving your fascia a workout when you do this kind of stuff as well. Because like I said, there's fascia everywhere. So you can use it like that. And I also like to take the pointy side, and I am I am pretty much always relaxing my 11s because I feel that tension from when my forehead is tight. And I mean, you can see that I have almost no 11s. And it's because I do this, and it also just feels so good to release all of that tension that's there. So, I love multi-purpose tools like this, and also, a natural material, I try to not use plastics when possible. So, I love this guy and good to travel with. Here's another one. This is metal. All of the ones that I can give you links to, I will. I know I bought this one online, so I will put this in the show notes, this metal one. You can use this on your head too. And, you can use this all over your body. This one is interesting because it's got some weight to it. So adding some gravity to it is helpful because of that weight. The other thing too is that because fascia is hard, I've heard that denser materials are better than the plastic ones because they can help to when you start looking into fascia, they often say the word melt. That the denser ones help to melt the fascia easier, is what I've heard, more effectively. Okay. I also have this one that I use on my face. This one just kind of feels good. This is not the rollers are not fascia. The rollers are really more about the drainage. And also it's supposed to help with the absorption of products. But this one is more of a fascia one. Again, it's kind of a multi-tool like my wooden one. I can use it like this. I also like to another fascia tool is called a muscle scraper, which it's just a metal edge. It almost looks like a knife. And you just put it on your muscles and go like this. And this is very much working the fascia more than the muscles because this is a hard, strong implement. And so I like to travel with this one because, like, especially when I've been on a flight, my calves get really tight. And so this really helps I'm dragging it along my calves. See, this is why I need to do the video where you can see my full body with this stuff. It really helps to release it. I literally just drag it along my calves. So again, check out the videos that I'm going to post all about fascia, and you can learn more and like where I learned these techniques myself. Okay, and then you've seen this one before with my skincare one. This is actually a pretty famous company when it comes to fascia. Uh, I do find these products to be a little overpriced for what you get, considering this is plastic, but I do like to use this one here. I like the little fingers, how they're positioned. This is the one I use most. It actually comes with more items. It comes with these 2 and, a couple more that you saw in my skincare, but I wanted to show this one. This one's kinda cool. The handle is interchangeable. I do like this pointy one because this one's really good for I have a lot of tension right here in this upper arm area, and I like to use points like this, and you just have to hold it until it doesn't hurt anymore. But I like to use points like this. I'll do it where I'm leaning against a wall, so I don't have to actively, because right now I'm pushing, and that's a lot of work for this arm. So I'll literally just take them and stand next to a wall and push against it to loosen up those muscles. So that's kind of an interesting one. This one's also really good for here. But I have some better tools, which I'm going to show you in a sec. Let's see. I'm going to go 5 more minutes, and then everything else will be in part 2 next week. These are wooden blocks. There are huge communities. It's called the block community that's one that I know of. There are probably others, but there are these communities that use wooden blocks for fascia. And the beauty of wooden blocks is, one, they're easy to travel with. So when I'm traveling, I will take one of these or 2 of these with me in my bag. But the great thing about them is that it's passive, meaning you put it somewhere. So again, like me against a wall, I put the triangle in that point and I lean against the wall. I can also do that on the floor. Yes, laying on pointy wooden objects does not sound like something you do by choice, but believe me, the release you feel after 3 minutes is incredible. I sleep so well after I do this kind of fascia work because it's like your body is truly relaxed for the first time in who knows how long. So the different shapes go in different places, but I will lie on these, in my hips. A lot of us carry tension in our hips. Like, oh, right now I just pushed this point into my right hip and I can feel it like, oh, I need to do some work there. I guess I haven't laid there. I'm pressing it all along. I don't feel anything. If it hurts, that might be where you need to try doing some release. So, I don't feel anything on the rest of my leg. Some people, I don't feel anything when I do this. So maybe my fascia there doesn't get tight, but a lot of people like to put this on the top of their quads. I don't seem to have tension there, but like I said, I have a lot of tension here. I have a tension in my side of my hips and tension in my calves. So I do like to use blocks to release that. Okay. I'm going to show you one last tool today. And I'm going to show you this one because this one is fabulously passive. These are pneumatic cups. So maybe you've seen people I know I famously have seen Gwyneth Paltrow many times with these circular, they look like bruises, they're purple, circular marks all over her back. That is from cupping. And I have done cupping for a while now, and I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was great. But when I had cupping done by someone using these pneumatic ones, so the ones I'd had before were glass, and what they do is they create a little vacuum they stick a match under it to pull out the air, and then they stick it on your skin. But the thing about that is that you can only create so much of a vacuum. With the pneumatic ones, you get this little pump, and you put the pump on the valve, and then you pump the air out. So I went and had this done. And so these are plastic, well, not glass. So I went and had this done, and it was so much more intense than when they used the glass with the match, that it was able to get way deeper. And I felt some of the most intense relaxation I've ever had. I mean, at first you have all these on your back, and I wouldn't call it doesn't hurt. It's not painful. It it's not comfortable either. It's hard to describe the sensation. But after 5 or 10 minutes, oh my gosh, it feels incredible. And by the way, people often say like, "Oh my gosh, you look so bruised." It's actually not a bruise. My understanding is that it's some sort of it's basically recirculating. It's like a dead spot, a stagnant spot in terms of I don't know if it's your body's blood or your body's, I don't know if it's related to chi at all, but it's a stagnant spot that it's gotten moving. And I can tell you that it's not a bruise because when I do this, like it gets better over time. I actually am less purple now than when I started doing it, even with the same exact action, right? So the other thing too is that like how usually when you get a bruise on a muscle, it hurts when you push it? Whenever I push these stagnant purple marks, it doesn't hurt at all. So and like I said, like it's much better now. Like when I first started getting really serious about fascia and doing it every single day, I did it every single day for like a couple months because I really wanted to feel a release. I was black and blue from it. And now I'm not black and blue from it. So whatever it is in terms of stagnation, it starts to move it around and then you're not purple so much anymore. So it's hard to show you that. I mean, it's hard to show you this on myself, but like, I guess I could do one on my forehead. By the way, the kit I have 1, 2, 3, 4. It comes with 25 of these little cups, and you can see they're all different sizes. And probably the only one I can show you is this one because it's the only place where I'm like you can put it on my forehead. So you just pump it and then you remove the pump and you see it stays. And maybe you can see my skin is a little bit bubbled in there, but it's so nice and passive because you don't have to hold anything in place. You just pump it and then it can do the 3 minutes. It can hold the area long enough to create the fascia melt that you want. And then you can just release it. And you can see there's my when you do it on your shoulder, let me see if I can show you. I'll try with one of these medium-sized ones. Oh, I should do this because one of the cool things about this kit is it comes with a hose specifically so that you can use it on yourself. But I've been having my family members put them on me because it's just a little bit easier than using the hose. So you see it has this hose. Okay, let's put it right here. Oops. It's hard to do it in this little controlled area without knocking my microphone around. Okay, so put it on my upper back, shoulder, neck area. Okay, so 3 squeezes. You see how the skin gets sucked up into the cup? So it's getting like the fascia, the muscle, the skin. That's how tight it is. And this doesn't hurt at all, even though it doesn't look comfortable, right? Like it's what, like an inch of skin in there? Yep. And so you just let it sit for 3 minutes or however long you can tolerate it. And then, like I said, you just break the seal. It comes off really easily and you can see where it was. It's a little pink right now. So that's how these work. These are fantastic because they can hold tight much longer than you can hold tight with your fingers. So to go to the full season of self-care, all of the podcasts that I've been doing the last few months, click on this URL here. Or if you go to my website, bywdreams.com, and again, let it load and type in season self-care. Here's the full URL, bywdreams.mailerpage.com/season self-care, all one word. you can find the 12 or so videos. I think there'll probably be about 30 once I'm done going through all these topics I'm talking about. And wherever you are watching or listening, thank you for joining me. Be sure to like and subscribe in all the places, and join me next week as I finish all the other topics. I'm going to talk about this guy next week. What is that exactly? You're going to have to find out next week. I'm going to talk about hold on, one more thing I have to grab. These guys next week. What are those exactly? I'm going to talk about them next week. So join me next week as I pick up on fascia part 2. And as always, remember, planning makes everything easier. Have a great day and take care of yourself.